Okay, I'm gonna pull the card for the day. It's windy, and but it's supposed to get really hot today. It's supposed to be really hot. So even the Haven of Hope was inviting people to come back over. I don't know if it's a holiday. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. I think Father's Day is coming up too, or maybe it's today. I don't know. But Haven of Hope invited everybody to come back and to have a barbecue. They were gonna have a raffle. I don't know. Maybe I should. No. I'm gonna go to the. I'm waiting to use the restroom. And I'm gonna go to the bridge, the creek, and stay out of the sun and work on dolls. Oh, Eight of Cups. I feel like I've pulled the Eight of Cups, or I was very into the Eight of Cups. I was getting a lot of Eight of Cups. And so Eight of Cups is about somebody who is going on like a journey, whether it's like out or within. But the cups are like attainment, but they've it's this life that they've accomplished, or this excuse me, what they have achieved no longer is who they are. So now they're going off, possibly like a spiritual journey to seek something new. Is how I understand the Eight of Cups. I resonate with it really well. It could be mean more, so I'm gonna look up different meanings. But it also shows how there's divided. Like this person is walking away from the Five Cups, and the Five Cups could be like our senses, or our hand, our five fingers. So at least that's how I heard it broken down. Like there's a division, like it's a divide of the five and the three. But it also shows that it's at night, but the sky is clear. But still at night, it means like intuition. Like you're doing. It's internal, so you have to kind of follow your own, ideas and voice. The moon. It's all like intuitive and things like that. I'm gonna look up more meanings, but I really like this card a lot. For me, yesterday I was feeling very uninspired to work on dolls. Before I came to Colorado, I was like working on dolls all the time, and I enjoyed working on dolls. And I would go to bed and think about like waking up and working on dolls, or I would go to bed thinking about, when I wake up, I'm gonna be working on dolls. And I still do, but it's just not the same. I'm really taking my time. I'm just like very lackadaisy, if that's the word. And so yesterday, after like washing clothes, I went to a park, and I thought I would work on dolls, but I just didn't feel like it. I did do some work later in the day, but I was thinking like maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else, or maybe I don't know, signs are like taking me into another direction, or the universe is taking me into another direction. I'm not quite sure, but time will tell. And so I kind of feel this card in that way because, before, and also it was about like, because I pulled the death card, and the death card was about like the old you dying off and then the new you being reborn. And so it feels, excuse me, got some icing. It does feel like I've lost a sense of my identity, because I had wrapped my identity around making dolls. Surprisingly, because I was like, it was very new to me. Like, because I always wanted to be an art. I've always liked art, but when I first started doing art, I figured I'd be a painter. This is kind of like the typical thing to paint. And then I started making dolls, and I was a little, I wouldn't say resistant, but not that interested in making dolls. But because people liked the dolls, I continued to make them, and I started really enjoying the process of creating dolls. And then it was an easy thing to transport to the streets to sell instead of like canvases. Because if you paint on canvas or even paper, and you're like, you have to be very careful, especially with paper, and canvas is like big pieces of squares, and you're like, you're transporting it to the streets, and then possibly you won't sell, then you got to transport it back home, or buy a storage unit or rent a storage unit or whatever. But the dolls is like, they're filled with polyfill, so it just worked out really well, and I started enjoying it. And then I started to think of before it was just like, oh, it's just something to do, and then it became like, kind of started creating this identity around it. Like I wanted to be the doll maker and all this stuff. And then leaving New York, I was a little concerned that all that hard work that I pulled in would be like ruined. And I don't know, but I'm always working. But now it's like but even I was worried about it being ruined, but like I've always wanted to like kind of travel in this type of way, and I was still making dolls along the way, and then now it's like I don't even like really feel like making the dolls anymore. Like not like I did. Like I was just taking my time and creating. So in a sense, this card is like talking about stuff like that, like and I don't know, like maybe also the Four of Cups, because the person is looking at the Three Cups, and then they're being offered another cup from the universe, and then they're like, they're so busy on what they've already accomplished or what they have, and it hasn't made them happy, or it's no longer making them happy, that they don't realize what the universe is also offering. Like there's stuff probably right before your eyes, and it could be something more of a spiritual, something more spiritual. And so yeah, the same with him. Like he's leaving these cups to, I would think, go on something, to find something more spiritual. So I'm gonna look at more meanings. All right, have a good one. Okay, and so Cubs just speaks about the emotions. So I feel like maybe I should stress that it's something that's like emotionally not fulfilling you anymore, and you're walking away. You're feeling depleted, and you're not feeling very motivated or interested. Kind of how I'm feeling right now. I do think that I will continue to make dolls because I do enjoy it, but with the speed that I used to make it in, I don't really feel like I'm gonna do it like that. Then reverse me, it could mean that you are feeling like you need to walk away from something, but you're not walking away from it. Almost the same as the death card, where it's transformation, but it's time. You have all the signs, or all the stuff is there telling you to move forward, but you're not allowing it. You're trying to resist it, and that's the same. I would say, like, reverse with, you're trying to you feel like you need to leave something, but you won't. That's draining you or whatnot. Yeah. Okay, moving away from the path. We're moving away from the past, and it could mean physical trip, like a real travel to like just go someplace else. And at night, he's using his intuition. Like it's not fully lit, like the road isn't fully lit up before you, but you kind of like follow your intuition. One thing I remember, we with some friends of mine, we went to this hot spring, and it was also a river in the hot spring, and it was called Deep Creek Hot Spring. And we tried to hike in. You had to hike in. It's like a 45-minute hike in from the parking lot. And we got there around like 5 o'clock. So when we parked the car, we got out, we started hiking, and it got dark really quick. And on the way in, this one guy, um, I guess there's no incorrect way to do it, but you could tell he was really like lost, and he saw us, so it let him know like he was close to the parking lot, or possibly like we knew where the parking lot was. So he was climbing up this really steep hill to get to us, and we was like, yeah, the parking lot is right back there. And he was like really like such a like a dude, like oh man, like and he was lost. And he said he had left his friend behind with the dog, and I think his friend wasn't too far behind, but he left the friend because he was scared that they were all gonna get like trapped, like outside, or not trapped, but like lost or something outside. And but when we got to the creek the next day, the deep, well, it wasn't the river and the hot springs the next day, but it was called Deep Creek Hot Springs. We met some people who did hike in that night, and they said that they were so familiar with the hike that they just hiked in knowing that there was a drop beside them, because it was like the hike would go up and then it comes down and it goes up. So it was like, well, they used their lights to see the path before them, but then it was like, well, just keep in mind that there's a, you know, a drop beside you. And then they hiked in, and I was like, whoa, I would not have done that. But so yeah, like this card is like, he is at night, but he's just using, you know, his staff, and he's just like he's about to go on that adventure, even though he might not be too sure what's out there, you know, but he's just, you know, taking a chance and trusting in his intuition. Another thing, oh, and that it could just mean like a real travel. Um, okay, I'm gonna close it up. So, yeah, this person's off seeking something new. Maybe what he or she had no longer serves them emotionally, and now, or neither, it's not able to get them further in their life. So now they need to learn new things that can fulfill them emotionally. One thing I can think about is like when I had a job. Every job I had, I always felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. And I've spoke about this before, but at the time of having the job, when I first got the job, I felt very good about it because I felt like that was what I was supposed to do, and that I felt responsible, and I was able to hold down a place for maybe like 2 years, and then I would have to move because the rent would go up. But also, I always felt like, well, that'll just be my life, like part of me. But I think deep down, I always knew like I would never keep these jobs that I had, even though I was able to support myself and be like an adult, you know, or like whatever, you know, whatever they feed into you to think like that's what you have to do. So when I stepped away, and it was people who I would see who I admired, and they were living in the world the way they wanted to live in the world, and that inspired me to like, you know, I would, you know, see them around town or something, or either just, and I would think like I wanted to be like them, and just like wondering, was it possible to like wake up and make up your own mind of what you're gonna do in the day, like, because I just felt like I always had to, no matter what I wanted to do, whatever I thought, I was a slave to my job. And so because I had that job, I would have to do what I could to please the people at the job or follow the job's rules. And the rules of the job took up so much of my time and my day, my life. And so I didn't really have time to really be or express myself. So eventually it would come a point where I would get really depressed, a little suicidal, and I was like, I have to leave, and I would just leave. And for a while it would be cool, but then I would feel like, oh, I have to make money, so then I would get another job. But the last time I left, I just went to go sell dolls on the street. So yeah, but now it's like I'm on this journey, and I'm feeling like I am learning a lot, like that I don't really even have to depend on the dolls as much as I thought I did. And the before I left New York, the dolls had became very like they were enslaving me because I was like working really fast, not putting a lot of thought into what it was I was creating just to pay the rent. And people loved them, but it was still like I was like lacking in creativity because I was just rushing it. And now I'm taking my time and I'm putting a lot more thought into them, and I don't have to pay rent. So another thing is, well, reverse. I wanted to talk about because yesterday I had pulled the devil card. No, I pulled death, and death was like the reverse was the opposite of what it was upright. Which upright was like you're trying to resist the change. Where this reverse could mean that you might not be ready to like do what this man is doing in the picture. Like you think you need to leave everything, but maybe you're not. But I feel like ultimately you would know, but maybe you don't have everything in order to leave at the moment. Um, but then again, I think you would know whether it's time for you to leave something, or you it's difficult to make the decision. Like you're like I'm gonna leave, and then you decide you're not gonna leave, or and then you're like I'm gonna leave, and then you're like I'm not gonna leave, or let me see what else. Was this emotional attachments that is holding you back? That's one thing. It's like always feeling like I needed to stay places because of people that I was connected to, and that is very hard to leave people who you've started to create attachments to. That what kept me. I mean, that bound me to New York for so long. Not only that, it was also I was convinced that being in New York was the place I wanted to be and that I should be. And even from a child, I always like I wanted to be in New York. And then when I created relationships, to leave New York was really hard. Even leaving Texas, because I had created like family, like I created my own family, and and my experience of like being a child, I didn't really keep in touch with my own family that well when we moved to the other places. I moved around a lot as a child, and I witnessed like when you move, you lose touch with people, and it's a work to like maintain those bonds when you're not really in those people's company anymore. So when I was in Texas and I created such strong attachments and like relationships with people in my early 20s and my late teens, I thought like I need to stay around these people because this is my family. So when I did have the feeling like I want to go to New York, it was really tough because I was like I might not, stay in touch with these people and I might not like see them again. And I did see everybody that I was really close to again, but the relationship wasn't that strong of a bond any longer. Like, and I still love them and I hope the best for them. So yeah, when I left New York, I created all these relationships, and then other people were leaving New York, and that was making me feel really bad. Like don't go, stay in New York forever. And so then when I was like, I kind of want to go too, I was gonna miss people. Even like my friend when he went off to Yale, he was my best friend at the time. I cried, and I was surprised because we were arguing at that time, and. I cried because I was happy for him. I was gonna miss him, and I was so angry that we would always fight. Like, but it was such a weird thing, and I love him and I wish the best. But we got in touch recently. I was like, oh, like no, I wish you the the best. So it's like yeah, you like leave things behind, and it's hard when you're emotionally attached to like all these things. So you might feel like it's best for you to go. So that's it. I like this card because it looks like me traveling. And one thing is like it's hard to like. I'm really enjoying this life. I do feel like I need to like realistically. I should feel like I should like be grounded, but I don't know. I don't really think that might be the life for me. And so trying to figure out how to be the best in this traveling life that I can be for now. Um, I can say really deep down inside, I don't think I will stop wanting to live like I am, but just trying to better it. And maybe that's what I have to go do. Maybe I need to learn whatever I need to learn to better this lifestyle I want to live. One thing I was like, there were people who like reached 60 or they reached their retirement age, and once they reached their retirement age, they found out they couldn't retire because they didn't really have enough money in their whatever social security or whatever that they were counting on like to come in wasn't enough to support their lifestyle as far as like being in a house or an apartment or whatever. So a lot of older people have taken to the road and like gotten RVs, and they live a traveling life where they work on their travels to make money to get to the next place to buy food and all this stuff. And that's really inspiring because I'm young and I feel really healthy. I don't drive, but there's these older people who are doing it, and it shows that like to each his own. And then to be realistic, like everybody can't live that way. And so if they did everything they were supposed to do in their life, and then they got to this point where they can't take care of themselves in this way of being, and now they found this way out, which was like traveling and working, and they're happy, it seems, and it just shows like you got to find what works for you, like even if it just goes against the grain. And that's really tough, because when you count on something to work out the way people say it should work out, it didn't. But they did it. They found something to like keep them going. And even I was watching something about these people who live in the Bay Area of like San Francisco. They live on boats and they just go out into the water and they kind of just spend their time out in the water. And they're not able to really take good care of the boats, so the boats will get damaged, and then the city feels like it's a hazard. And you can see like they are, especially if the boat is sinking and stuff, and it's like tore up and everything. So they confiscate the boats, and then they destroy the boats. I didn't know anything about this community, and before they destroy the boats or tear the boats up with like cranes and stuff, they allow the people to have a camp beside the junkyard for the boats. And so these people, like, they create this little tent city in San Francisco, and people are like there beside their boats. And then each day, or it comes a day where the city or whatever the organization is, they just tear up the boats. And so the people look on and watch their boats being like destroyed, and then they're pretty much stuck in the tent city for a time. I don't know that everyone's situation is different, but a boat is pretty expensive. But they felt like living out on the water was like a little inexpensive compared to living on land, and they were happy. So hopefully they'll all be like, I doubt everybody will be able to get another boat, and especially like a good boat, because I'm sure a boat takes a lot of work to keep it functioning and from getting damaged, repairs and stuff. But I hope that most of them will get another boat and continue to live their life if that's what makes them happy. So they found that was what made them happy. So yeah, the same with this car, 8 of Cups. If it no longer is who you are, you got to go off and find who you are now and what will continue to like keep you happy, or maybe just add on to what it is you're doing. So all right. Hey, good morning. It's Saturday, and I'm underneath my tarp. It's 6 going on like 6. It's like 6:20 something, but it's about to be 6:30. So I'm about to get up pretty soon. But around like 5:50, somebody tried to lift my tarp up and like just like pull it up, and behind me, right back here, is my Sour Patch tin, and it's filled with all my like buttons and bells and sewing equipment. So he pulled it in a way where he didn't pull it too hard that the Sour Patch Kid um, still held it down. But it woke me. I was already kind of awoke, and then when he did that, it like, you know, kind of startled me. So I looked, and I saw his face, and then he walked down the block. Now, that's happened to me before, not here in this spot, but like probably last time, well, a few nights ago, well, when I first got here, where I was trying to find a spot down the street. I was on a build, sleeping on like a property that, it was obvious. I think it was even like a fire station. So it was obvious that I was going to be woken up that night, because it was pretty, I don't know, serious looking. So yeah, the person, I don't know if they even touched me or touched my tarp, but they woke me and they told me I had to get up, and they didn't leave until I packed up. So, but it has happened before that somebody's pulled at my tarp. That was security to tell me to leave. So when he did it, first thing I thought was he was security. But then when I looked and I said, "What's up?" he kept walking down the block, and he never turned back. So I really think he was just a random man trying to sneak a peek on a homeless person, or maybe he thought there was valuables underneath the tarp, and he wanted to see what was underneath here. I don't know. Weird. And I'm just recording it because I'm like, I don't know if I have any rights. I don't think I can't be back here, but it's a safe space. And on the weekend, no one parks back here because it's like a parking lot. And I like it back here because it's far away from other houseless people. There is somebody sleeping back here, but he has his own little tent and stuff. So I come back here on the weekend because no one comes into work. This building, I don't even think it's up and running. I think it's being renovated, or neither next door is something's being built. So many people who come back here to park are like construction workers and stuff. So on the weekend they don't work. So I come back here as an option of a place that I can sleep. But yeah, it was weird man. Anyway, I feel so good. Like I slept really good. I'm about to get up. All right, have a good one.